What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Musta Game here, and today I want to talk to you about 5 tips that you need to know for you to win a Zenith Power event efficiently. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this today is because Zenith Power event is just right around the corner. Literally right around the corner with 8 hours remaining until the event actually starts for September of 2025, with coinciding with 7-year anniversary for Rise of Kingdoms. Now, some of those tips will not be applicable for this particular skin because you need a lot of preparation for you to actually win a Zenith Power event in advance. So this will be more. Some of the tips will be actually more general tips that you need to know for you to win future Zenith Power events. But then again, I think all those tips will be really helpful for you if you're thinking about running for Zenith Power event, or if you're thinking about running for Zenith Power events in the future, because I have won a Zenith Power event before. You can see that I'm currently running on 15% cavalry health, and I've enjoyed every bit of this skin as a rally or garrison lead for cavalry. So I thought it would be helpful for me to kind of share with you what I've learned throughout the years of me kind of seeing other people run for Zenith Power events, as well as me running for Zenith Power event and winning once and losing ones. You guys can see that one of the city skins that I have the 30-day one, which means that I was going for it really, really hard when I first started off the game, because I was like, hey, like Zenith Power event, it looks pretty cool. So I ran for it. I didn't know what I was doing, so I lost. But then again, because I had more knowledge, I was able to gain my Zenith Power skin, and I've enjoyed every bit of it. So that's what I'm doing. I hope this is helpful for you all. And let's just go ahead and jump right to this. Now, tip number 1. Make sure you train as many T4 units as possible during the off-season. Now, this may not be a tip that might be applicable for those of you who are running for this particular city skin. But then again, let me show you how much the difference it makes. So with 100% training speed up bonus, this is basically, I think, the standard for those of you who are not running Germany, I believe. And you had all the right buffs kind of in place with the kingdom buff and 15% training buff rune and all that stuff. You're usually running on 100% training speed bonus. And at 100% training speed bonus, if you want to push 30 million power, you need to train 3 million T5 troops. Sorry, that was I was missing a 0. You need to train 3 million T5 troops, which will translate to you using 6 years of speed ups. 2100 days, 6 years of speed ups. And that is a lot of speed ups. And not to mention that 30 million power does not guarantee this particular Zenith Power City skin. You need 40 million power for you to get a guaranteed city skin. And let's see how much that would actually cost. Yeah, that will cost you extra 2 years. You will need to have 8 years of speed ups with all of the right conditions, with the training buff, with training rune, with maybe Germany on and off and all that stuff. Like, you will need 8 years of speed ups, and that is absurd amount of speed ups, right? Whereas if you actually wanted to go ahead and push 30 million powers on T4 to T5 conversions, let's say 40 million powers from T5 to T4 conversion, I think that 5 million T4 to T5 conversion gives you 30 million power. Okay, so let's just go ahead and go back to 3 million troops training. So this takes 6 years. And then if you actually had a lot of T5s in the reserves, this takes you only 3 years. 3 years and a half? It almost cuts your speed ups, the requirement for this event, by half if you have enough T4s trained up. Now, I'm not saying that a lot of you out there who are watching this video will be having 5 million T4 units trained up. That's going to be absurd. But then again, I utilize this method as much as possible. And when I did run for my Zenith Power skin, I had about 2 to 3 million T4 units actually trained up in reserve. So that helped me get Zenith Power skin without spending 6-7 years of speed ups. And this is probably the most important tip that you need to know when you're running for Zenith Power skin. You need to get years and years of trainings just actually training up T4s while you're on off season. And when that one Zenith Power skins that you want to run appears on the shop or appears on the event, then that's when you have to release all those T4s into T5s, is what I would recommend, because it will save you a lot of speed ups. Actually, it will save you half of the speed ups that you're about to spend on Zenith Power event. So, tip number 1, make sure you train as many T4 units as possible during off season, especially if you're thinking about getting a Zenith Power City skin one day in your lifetime. Now, that was tip number 1. Tip number 2. This is something that you also probably can't do right now, but tip number 2. Make sure you start T5 trainings as soon as you hear about the Zenith Power event coming up in the game. Now, as you guys might be able to see, I have 22,000 T5 units training ahead of Zenith Power event. Now, I'm not even running for Zenith Power event, but then again, the reason why I have 22,000 troops training actually going is because Zenith Power event will actually give you rewards if you actually push enough power. I think it gave you 5 gold hits, right? So I don't know if that's going to be still the case for the new Zenith Power City skin event format, but if you can push 1 million power, I think you got 5 gold hits. So that's why I have those trained up. But imagine that you actually started training 50,000 units of T5s and actually had 20,800 T5 units that you'll be able to train just straight off the bat as you start going into Zenith Power event. That is a lot of power that you can save. That is a lot of speed ups that you can save. I actually did the math, and you can save up to 138 days of speed ups if you had 52,000 T5 units just ready to go and ready to claim as you enter Zenith Power events. So that's almost a third of a year, 4 months of speed ups. I know that for those of you who are running for Zenith Power event might be thinking, hey, like, that's not a lot, but trust me, it could actually make or break your Zenith Power event at the end of the day. So make sure you start training T5 units, as many T5 units as possible, that as soon as you hear about Zenith Power event is what I'll suggest for you. And I'm not suggesting that you actually convert T4 to T5 on this case. I'll say just raw training of T5s, because T5 raw training will just save you a lot of speed ups at the end of the day. All right, so that's my tip number 2. And tip number 3, make sure you pace yourself well. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because, and this could be different for this particular Zenith Power event, because they have all those different kind of measures with the new system in place. But if you're in a cluster that is actually not that competitive for a Zenith Power event, for example, when we did run for, when the Zenith Power event was happening for this skin right here, or 15% archer attack, this was almost not competed over at all in my kingdom cluster. So people who have actually won the Zenith Power skin won it with like 20 or 15 million power push only. So when those events happen, what you can do is actually see how other people who are in the leaderboards are pushing in the first couple of days, and see, okay, well, do I really need to push 30 million power, 40 million power for me to get 15% Archer City skin? It's probably not the most competitive City skin ever. And you guys can see that I didn't even push for this event, and I got the 15-day skin because it was so not competitive. So again, make sure you pace yourself, because at the end of the day, it could save you a lot of speed ups that you would have otherwise spent for the Zenith Power event that you're actually running for. Because some events, some city skins are not as competitive as as it will be. For example, my cavalry citizen, the power that I gained for me to get this was 30 million power. That versus, let's say, 15 to 20 million power here, that's a big difference, right? So make sure you pace yourself for the event that you're running for, so that you don't in the future regret spending a year, 2 years, 3 years of extra speed ups that you would have otherwise saved for your particular Zenith Power event that you're actually running for. All right, so that's tip number 3. And let's go ahead and move to tip number 4. Tip number 4, as last resort, and this is only for last resort and last resort only, you can actually kill your trained troops for extra speed ups. Now, I did this when I ran for my Zenith Power event. It hurted a lot, like inside of me. But then again, what you can do is you can send out a lot of T5, especially T5 Siege, into a resource node, and then you can have and ask another alliance member of yours, basically leave the alliance, or you can leave the alliance yourself, and kill off your useless T5 Siege. And that will actually give you a lot of speed ups back and refund it. And this is especially more helpful for you if you actually had a lot of T4 to T5 conversion of siege units, because that would actually mean that you have a lot of T5 siege units that you just trained up as you converted a lot of T4 siege to T5 siege. And that way, if you ran out of speed ups and you have nowhere else that you can actually pull speed ups from, you bought out all the VIP shops, you have purchased all the events and packages that actually gives you a lot of speed ups, and this is the only thing that you can do, then by all means, this is actually one of the ways that you can actually get a month, 2 months, 3 months, or even like up to half a year of speed ups that you don't really have. But again, use this as a last resort. Nowadays, engineering and siege is actually pretty useful on the field. So don't just go ahead and rush this just because you just found out about this tip. Do this as a last resort. If you think that you're not going to be able to win Zenith Power event towards the last several hours of you running the Zenith Power event, this is one of the ways that you can actually get extra speed ups. And tip number 5, always prepare yourself for the last hour, and do not go AFK during the last hour of Zenith Power event, because, and I think this might be a little different with the Zenith Power event changes, but for most of you who are going to be in a Kingdom cluster that's not going to have 40 million power push for the 10th place, the chances are that a lot of people are waiting to actually capture those who actually went offline in the top 10 places. Now, what I've seen before is some people pushing 3 to 5 million powers within the last 10 minutes of Zenith Power events. And I know that sounds crazy, but people has done it before. And even like last minute, some people actually push like 2 to 3 million power. And I don't even know how that's possible. I don't know if they're gemming the troops. I don't know if they already had like T5, like 50,000 already trained up and ready to click on it. I'm pretty sure that's basically how they're doing it. But yeah, last hour, last minute especially, goes absolutely nuts for Zenith Power events. Even if you're in the lead for the 5 million, 10 million range from the last place person, just make sure that you're on when the Zenith Power event is going, so that you don't ever regret wasting years and years of speed ups for basically nothing. Because last hour does get super, super competitive for any Zenith Power event that I've ever seen. So make sure you're online. Make sure you have backup plans. Make sure you have those T5 troops ready to go, ready to actually, be claimed, ready to actually train for another 3 to 5 million powers if needed. Just be ready. be ready for the last hour of ZENITH Power event. So yeah, that concludes my 5 tips that you need to know for you to win a ZENITH Power event City Skin or ZENITH Power event City Skin more efficiently. I hope this was helpful for those of you who are running for ZENITH Power events. I know that some of those tips actually cannot be applied to those of you who are running for this particular ZENITH Power event because you need like T4 train. The tip number 1, you need a lot of T4 trains. You should have actually had that ahead of times, prepared ahead of times. But you know, you even if you don't win this event, you might be able to run next event and find out that you this tip would actually be really helpful. Another one, having T5 training started as soon as you hear about the ZENITH Power event on all 4 different troop types. That's what I would suggest because that will save you a lot of speed ups. That will save you 138 days of speed ups. So yeah, I hope this was helpful for you. If you guys did find this video helpful, please go ahead and drop me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And as always, I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.